presentation that I'm going to give you guys today is about enrichment and why your dog needs it. Okay, remember the old cliche, a tired dog is a happy dog. It was a time where exercise was the key to creating a calmer dog. There are many trainers that recommend exercising. There's also a trainer on TV that recommends exercising as well, and particularly for those hyper, high drive, high energy dogs. It's also recommended that the exercise is to avoid behavioral issues like destructiveness and boredom and a little bit of separation anxiety, owner distress as well. And some of you may be able to relate to some of these pictures. And some of these are actually apprentices' dogs that I have worked with. And you notice the bone that's been totally stuffed, and the door is also mangled. So yeah, maybe some of you can relate to this. And for those of you that have dogs and haven't seen stuff like this, consider yourselves lucky. A lot of crate damage, which can also result to all kinds of expensive bodily injuries. Now things are changing over the years. Mental enrichment is becoming just as, and in my opinion, it's even more important than the physical exercise itself. So exercising the brain and not just the physical side of the dog. And for the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to be focusing on what's called foraging motor patterns. And I'm going to be giving you creative ideas on how to create foraging for your dog in a healthy way that has a wide variety to it.
Examples of starting enrichment scavenger hunts. This is a little demo of introducing scavenger hunts to dogs that don't have a huge amount of experience with it. And so what I do is I usually pick a really small parameter where I lay down high motivating treats. You can also use small piles of kibble as far as their dog food goes. And I started off in a small parameter, perhaps around a tree or something, and that way you set it up to where the dog is limiting his search to a small area, getting higher amounts of reinforcement, and making sure that you don't spread them out so far to where you make it so hard that the dog gives up and is no longer focused and motivated on scavenging or foraging. So this is Switch. He's working around the perimeter that I've laid, and you can tell that he's focused and his mind is definitely busy. Getting good at the game and making it harder for the brain. As your dog gets better at scavenger hunts, you can start tossing your treats out or piles of small kibble for dog food as their meal and increasing your perimeter. The fence line in my front yard is allowing me to just make sure it's broad enough, and also being able to space them out to where I start creating a little bit of distance. So this way he has to cover more grounds in searching, foraging, but not in a high arousal state.
Okay, enrichment boxes. Because I worked in a kenneled facility for like 8 years, and we did a lot of rescue dogs there. We had rescue dogs there for probably about 5 years, Astrid, for LTR. And so there was a lot of kennel issues. There wasn't a whole lot of positive things that happened inside the dogs' kennels. And even though we did use the wobblers, they were a little bit expensive. And so I started introducing just a little bit enrichment boxes. And the cool thing about enrichment boxes are they're super cheap. And it's just one of the things that I recommend for people that are in rescue, if they're working in a kennel environment or where there are a lot of rescue dogs that are being confined. The enrichment boxes are really easy to put together. Some people would think that this is highly reinforcing destructive behavior, but in my experience, what I've seen is the dog's intent is to get to what is inside the box. And obviously, if they're gonna get into eating the cardboard or eating the tape, that's a safety issue, so you don't wanna do this. But for the dogs that are actually not digesting those things, it is great for them. Obviously, you wanna supervise the first few times, and it's really, really messy, but the dogs have a great time. So you can check out this video.
So this is Sable, one of our rescue dogs that you had seen in previous footage. We had all determined that her prey drive was way too high to be practicing motor patterns for a rescue dog. So what we've done is moved her into enrichment and dissect mode.
Girl.
So here you can hear me encouraging her to paw
Good girl.
at the boxes and also use her mouth on the boxes as well. And here's your observation on being able to dissect. And again, this is mental enrichment and really more about using the brain as opposed to the physical side of her body.
Studies have shown that puppies raised in an enriched environment, they actually grow larger brains, and then they become more emotionally stable. There's also evidence that animals of all ages can benefit from enrichment, even those that are raised in poverty settings. So I've worked with some trainers before that will look at some of these male dogs, and I too have actually titled some male dogs as being disabled. But there's a lot of things that are changing now that allows you to know that even dogs that are disabled, you can make them smarter than what they've ever been before.